Yeah, another week, another edition of Mr. Irrelevant, presented by Door County Distillery, locally produced, handcrafted, and award-winning spirits. Hope everybody is having a terrific start to their week. I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all studio. At the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee, producer Tidy Hands back at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. Lots to get to. Big weekend for Packers news. As we wake up this morning, Ed Policy named Mark Murphy's replacement as the new chairman, CEO, and president beginning next July. We'll get into that. I'll teach you a thing or two about Mr. Policy. Jordan Love got engaged to his longtime girlfriend, Ronica Stone, in Italy. It's a good spot to get engaged. Well done by Jordan. We'll talk that as well. We have a Game 7 in the NHL last night, the final hockey game of the season will be played tonight between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Game 7. What have I missed? Hunter's a hockey guy. What he's gonna bring me up to speed on that. So we're gonna talk about that coming up tonight on ESPN Plus and ABC. Pablo Iglesias from WKOW in Madison will join us in studio. Well, join Hunter in studio in Madison. We're going to talk a little bit of everything with Pablo. We'll talk a little Brewers, then we'll wrap it up as always with what we learned. Let's start with Ed Policy, though, the now next chairman, CEO, and president of the Green Bay Packers. 53 years old. He's been with the team 12 years. Previously, the COO. It was the shoe-in pick. Jason Wilde's been saying it for 2 years at this point that he thinks Ed Policy will be the next guy. And for some reason, on Monday, June 24th, that's when the Packers decided to drop the news that Ed Policy will indeed be named the successor to Mark Murphy. Okay, great. You know, he oversaw the Titletown stuff. Obviously, that was a roaring success for Green Bay. He's got a fascinating background, which I'm going to teach you about here in a second. But, yeah, I mean, good. I mean, this is good. You get 15 years of him. He's 15 years younger than Mark Murphy. He's 53 years old. The age of 70 is when you have to be named or be essentially out. That is the oldest you can be as the president of the Packers. So you're going to get about 15 years of, at least you assume, of Ed Policy. He'll be 54 by the time he takes over next year. So something to keep an eye on there for Ed Policy. 15 years younger than Mark Murphy, as I mentioned. All right, Hunter, I went through and I wrote down a few fun facts for you. I have 3 of them. Fun facts about Ed Policy, who will be the new president, CEO, and chairman of the Green Bay Packers. Are you ready for the fun facts that I have found?
Yeah, I'm very interested to find out what you consider fun. So this will be great. Yeah. Let's go. What's number 1?
Number 1 is the only thing I knew about Ed Policy apart from the Green Bay Packers, and that is this. He was very briefly the interim commissioner of the Arena Football League. He took over as the interim commissioner of the Arena Football League 2 days prior to the 2008 Arena Bowl. He became the interim after a guy by the name of C. David Baker retired from the Arena Football League. David Baker, does that name ring a bell by chance, Hunter?
It doesn't. I feel like I'm going to feel like an idiot when you tell me who that is.
You won't feel like an idiot, but
okay.
You'll know who he is. He is the man that people know for knocking on the door for the NFL Hall of Fame. He's the big fella who knocks on your door when you get inducted into the NFL. Well, used to. I think he's done doing that now as well. But he retired from the Arena Football League 2 days prior to the 2008 Arena Bowl. That was the only game that Ed Policy was able to be the commissioner because shortly after the 2008 Arena Bowl, the Arena Football League filed for bankruptcy. So Ed Policy was the interim commissioner of the Arena Football League back in 2008 and 2009 when they filed for bankruptcy. Now, the AFL came back, I think, 2 different times since then. They reformed in 2010, and then I know there was a rebirth within the last few years of the AFL. But Policy was he was high up with the Arena Football League, took over as the interim, was the commissioner for 1 game. That was the 2008 Arena Bowl. Then the league filed for bankruptcy, and he left the league. He went and started working for the NFL and ultimately wound up in Green Bay. So that's fun fact number 1 about Ed Policy. Background, fun fact number 2 about Ed Policy. He is a 1987 Ohio State football champion with Cardinal Mooney High School in Youngstown, Ohio. Okay? So he was both an offensive guard and a linebacker, a two-way starter as a junior. This team won the 1987 state championship at Ohio. They only allowed 4 touchdowns all year long in the state of Ohio. So Ed Policy is the team's star linebacker, running a great defense. Only 4 touchdowns allowed en route to a state championship. How's that for a fun fact? He's got a good football background.
That's a great fun fact. And honestly, I have a feeling he probably would have been a better DC than Joe Barry.
I don't know that it's a high bar. So, yeah, that's probably accurate. And the third and final fun fact just has something to do with me, because you know I like making things about other people about me, right, Hunter?
Of course. That's what you're best at.
Yeah. So I went to the Cardinal Mooney High School Wikipedia page. Everybody makes fun of my fascination for Wikipedia. I have the Wikipedia app on my phone. I would argue it's one of the most used apps on my phone, because anytime I need an answer for something, Wikipedia's got it. So I went to the Cardinal Mooney Wikipedia High School page and scrolled down to their notable alumni. Ed Policy's name not on the notable alumni list. So what did I do? I went ahead and took the liberty of adding Ed Policy's name to the Cardinal Mooney High School notable alumni list, which also features many football families. All of the Stoops family attended Cardinal Mooney High School, which includes Bob Stoops and Mark Stoops, now the head coach of Kentucky. It also includes the Pelini family. Bo Pelini and Ed Policy went to the same high school, Hunter. I mean, come on, that's fascinating. Who knew Youngstown, Ohio was churning out football figureheads at the rate in which they are? Now, Ed Policy, Bob Stoops, Mark Stoops, Bo Pelini, all graduates of Cardinal Mooney High School. And as of this moment, 12:37 p.m. Central Time, Ed Policy still listed under notable alumni. Nobody has removed my edit from 2 hours ago.
You do understand that the state of Ohio is literally nicknamed the cradle of coaches because of those coaches that you mentioned. So, like,
well,
he's deserving of being a notable alumni.
In Youngstown.
Yes. Yeah, but, like, I'm just saying that, like, that's, like, the thing that state is known for, so it shouldn't have been that surprising.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So there you go. Those are my 3 fun facts. I have about 10 more that I will share later today on Kyle Bruston Nortman. Joshy looks like he's chomping at the bit to roast me for my Wikipedia addiction.
No, I spend a lot of time on Wikipedia. You'd be shocked how much time I do as well.
Okay, good.
I don't have the app. I haven't gone as far as you.
You should.
The real angle here is, and I'm making an executive decision for you.
That's what you're good at.
Oh, are you worthy of your high school's notable alumni yet? You have the Mr. Irrelevant show. Uh-huh. You've appeared on various play-by-play. You've won a Wisconsin Broadcasters Award.
I have.
At this point, I think you are a notable name, a notable enough figure that you should be on the list.
So I attended Denmark High School, which is in Denmark, Wisconsin. I'm on their Wikipedia page right now, Joshy. I'm not listed on there. But they do have it. You'll find this enjoyable. They have a notable alumni section. One name on the notable alumni section. It is Frank Joseph Dwayne, who is the current Bishop of Venice in Florida.
Bishop of Venice?
In Florida.
Huh. So,
only one name in there.
If you're looking for Alex Strouf, you're probably more searchable than whoever this fella is. I think you should self-add your name.
I can't self-add. I can't
self-add it.
I can't.
But
I can't.
Do you really want to be number 2? Like, number 3 is one thing, but do you really want to be the guy that was number 2 to add to it? I just feel like that's a little sad.
Okay. But by all means, I don't think I can be the second most notable alumni of Denmark High School. Now, I'm not taking shots at my alma mater. I'm just thinking we don't have a lot of notable alumni. If I'm not mistaken, I think Bill Jartz, who is the voice of Lambeau Field, is a Denmark High School alum. He's more notable than I am.
I think so.
And he might not be. I might be wrong on that. I know he lives in the area, but he may have gone to the high school. So I would say he's more notable than I am.
What if you just pull off, you add some other names of notable people?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now that's a thought. That is a thought. It's a very small high school. My graduating class was about 100 people. Right now it says the enrollment. Staff 77, classes offered 129. Where's the enrollment? It's not on the Wikipedia page. They also have the principal listed incorrectly. It's a teacher that doesn't work there anymore, who I still keep up with. He's not even in education anymore. He was never the principal. So their Wikipedia page is a hot mess. Hot mess. It says you have a new message from another user. Oh, what's that mean? Hello, I'm Joyous. I wanted to let you know that your recent contributions to Ben Brust's Wikipedia page have been undone because they do not appear constructive. This is from August of 2023. Apparently, I have a Wikipedia account, Joshy, and I edited Ben Brust's, which I don't even remember doing.
I had done something like that previous and got my hand slapped as well.
Oh, May 2024. Hello, I wanted to let you know that one or more of your recent contributions to Ben Brust have been undone. So apparently, I've done this multiple times to Ben Brust. Okay, interesting. Interesting. All right, there you go. How about Jordan Love getting engaged over the weekend? Veronica Stone, professional volleyball player, longtime girlfriend of Jordan Love. He hits the knee. He gives her the ring in Italy. Happy for Jordan. Now, the question everybody needs to be asking today is, will Jordan Love have a wedding ring first or a Super Bowl ring first? Now, we do not know the date of the wedding, but traditionally you're engaged for at least a year or two prior to being, joined in holy matrimony and wedded bliss. So in my head, I would guess it's summer of 24. I would guess Ronica and Jordan are either getting married in summer of 25, but for the sake of my argument, I hope it's the summer of 2026 because that gives Jordan Love 2 full football seasons to attempt to win a Super Bowl ring before he puts on a wedding ring. And look, I like the Packers as much as the next guy. I think they're headed in the right direction. You got to see what this new defense is about. You like the trajectory the offense is on. Jordan Love going to be a multi-million-dollar man and likely the highest paid quarterback in terms of annual average value in the entire NFL. But will he win a Super Bowl ring prior to receiving his wedding ring? Now, they could get married before the season starts this year. I have no insight onto the wedding date. I don't even know if they've discussed that yet. They just got engaged, or at least it was announced yesterday. They may have gotten engaged Saturday. So it's been like 48 hours for the happy couple. I doubt they have a wedding date locked in. But if I had to guess, it's probably 2 years down the road. Hunter, does that seem right? What was it for you, Hunter? Engagement to wedding. How long of a gap was there for you?
We were 10 months, but I need to put an asterisk on that because my wife is an event planner. So, like, she literally knew, like, we're going to use this vendor for this.
Advantage.
Like, yeah. So she was on top of it. She was awesome. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to compare mine because of that. But I'm going to guess that they're probably going to go a year and a half. So that's going to be cutting it close. If they get that 2 year, I think you've got a good shot at it. But if it's that year and a half, you may not. They may like get married right before the season starts, kind of a thing. Like not this upcoming, but then the following one, they might do something then. So you're going to be tough to try and win a Super Bowl ring this year.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. And, as much as I would like to see them, obviously in the Super Bowl, I don't know. NFC is still pretty darn good. NFC North is good. Obviously, you have the Detroit Lions in the North, and then the Niners and the Eagles. And there's a lot of good teams in the NFC. That's not to say the Packers can't take that next step and represent the NFC in the Super Bowl this year. But the following year is the one that's interesting to me. That's the one that's interesting to me. Chad, by the way, correcting me. Bill Jart's an alumni of Clintonville High School. Thank you, Chad, on the ESPN.
Oh, former trucker.
For pointing out my error. Yeah, he's a trucker. Jart's a trucker. Love to see that. Now I got to know, because I'm hooked on this whole Wikipedia thing. Is he listed as a notable alumni of Clintonville High School? I got to pull this up now.
He has to be.
I'm fascinated by this.
Dude's a Fox Valley legend.
They do not have notable alumni on their Wikipedia page. So nobody's listed. So there you go.
That's lame.
I feel like who we're going to get to next, and we'll talk Game 7 a bit later, Hunter, because I know you're itching. We're going to go out of order as it lays out on the website.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You don't have to edit it. We'll just get back to Game 7 and the Stanley Cup Final, because I need you to educate me, and I need more than just a couple minutes, because I want to get to Pablo, who's been patiently waiting. I wonder if he's on his notable alumni. TV people are a little bit more front-facing. You know their face, right, versus radio, where it's more of an audio medium. And I would say there's probably more like anonymity. Is that, I hope I said that word right. to
anonymity
to radio personalities. Yeah, that's the word. To radio personalities than our TV personalities. So I wonder if Pablo, who worked in Illinois, who went to high school in Illinois, now in Madison for the last several years, if he is on his notable alumni Wikipedia page. We will look into that next. We will also talk a little Packers, a little Badgers, a little all the in-betweens, maybe just a little life with Pablo Iglesias, our friend from WKOW, the ABC affiliate in Madison. That's in 60 seconds. But first, got to tell you about my friends at Door County Distillery. Locally produced, handcrafted, and award-winning spirits made locally in beautiful Door County. Whatever you need, they got it. They do it better than the rest. Whether it's that cherry vodka, cherry brandy made in collaboration with local cherries in Door County. The coffee extract made with Door County coffee. They do a ton of local collaborations, as well as they're local. They're delicious. They know how to booze. They're from Wisconsin. Check out their website, doorcountydistillery.com. Find the retailer nearest you, as well as a huge list of unique cocktail recipes. It's summertime, baby. Get crafty with those craft cocktails. Mix up something cool. Mix up something fun. Hanging out on the patio. Want to experiment, test some stuff out? DoorCountyDistillery.com is the place to find that out. 60 seconds. We're back with Pablo Iglesias. After this, it's Mr. Relevant. I'm Alex Strouf. Back at Door County Distillery in Carlsville, Wisconsin, with my friend Beth from Door County Distillery. We're mixing up the peach gin and juice today. That sounds like Snoop Dogg would love it. Talk to me, Beth. What are we mixing?
So we're using our gin, our flagship gin today. It's gin, lemonade, a little grenadine, and then our peach wine. So you remember the Carlsville sour we did last year?
I do, very well, yeah.
Same concept. It's just the gradient's gonna be in reverse. So we're gonna start with 1.5 ounces of our gin.
The classic green bottle.
We're gonna do 1 ounce of grenadine, 2 ounces of our lemonade. We're gonna stir that with our bar spoon.
Got it, before we add the wine.
And then we're gonna use the back of our bar spoon to float the peach wine on top. And there we go.
Looks like summer to me, Beth. Cheers.
Cheers.
The peach gin and juice from Door County Distillery with my friend Beth.
Check out their website with a huge list of unique cocktail recipes at doorcountydistillery.com. That's doorcountydistillery.com.
DoorCountyDistillery.com is the place to go. And now the person to go to joins us from the Everlight Solar Studio. It is the great Pablo Iglesias from WKOW in Madison. Pablo, are you on your high school's notable alumni list on Wikipedia?
So I checked. I was curious. First off, I'm not going to be the person that does it. That just feels weird if you were the person that adds on to it. You can. I don't think anyone's going to stop you. It's Mount Carmel High School from Chicago. And Mount Carmel High School, it has, let's see, you know what, I'll text you the link, too. I was looking at the wiki page.
I'm on it.
Perfect. You found it.
Okay, we've got, oh, wow, you've got a
yeah,
lot.
look at the alumni. Just read down the alumni from the athletic standpoint, too. This is probably why I'm not on that Wikipedia page, and you can see why from an athletic standpoint why.
Chris Chelios went to Mount Carmel High School.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Okay. I'm just I don't know a ton of it. Donovan McNabb went to your high school?
Yep.
Who am I missing?
Who
else am I missing?
Can we just back up for a second? Pablo said something, and I just need some clarification.
Yes.
You said Mount Carmel in Chicago.
That's
so
correct.
Is this Chicago, or are you one of those, it's actually up in Naperville, but you're going to say you're from Chicago?
This is Chicago, on the south side of the city. I have a 312 area code. I'm not going to give my whole number away, but for those that know in the city, 312 is OG. There's 773 as well, which is also a city area code, but 312, that's the original. That's the original area code, so I've got that.
Did you go to an all-boys, all-men high school?
I did go to an all-boys high school. That's
okay.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised we never talked about this. We never chopped this up, huh?
No, we have not discussed this. So I mean, my questions.
That's very true.
What was that like?
It was very kicked back, where I'll say this from a radio-friendly standpoint, or, well, I guess we're streaming too, but we still have to keep it clean. We were just laid back, had fun kind of thing. I mean, I think it's obviously, high school years and all that, you want to go and flirt with different girls and everything in the hallways, but obviously couldn't do that in an all-boys high school. But it was just, hey, we just had fun, man. We just kicked back. We had some fun, and we were just a bunch of goofballs, honestly. At the end of the day, it was a great school. Don't get me wrong. And one of the things I did actually with how people still recognize me is that whenever I come back, I did a lot for the broadcasting program when I was a freshman all the way through senior year. I was a student body president, so I was just saying this too.
Really? Really?
Yes. So I was a student body president. I was also, like I said, I was part of the broadcast club that when it was crazy. When all 4 years, it was not what, for instance, even what you guys have now with Prep Mania, it was not like that. But we were one of the few high schools in the nation that was doing a very strong program. We had, I want to say we peaked somewhere around 5 to, I don't know if it was 10,000 viewers. We had a lot of viewers, though, watching this kind of still camera, Bluetooth microphone. It was just grainy quality, but people were watching and listening to these high schoolers put on a broadcast. So that's how it grew from there. I think actually at one point, too, it was a very similar Reddit type of thread, but very specific to high school, Illinois high school athletics, where it was one time, it was my second game. I was 16 or 17, so still trying to get the professional mix in and all this, but I left at halftime to get a hot dog. I come back probably with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter because the line was so long at
No way. So there was just no broadcaster there?
There was no color commentator. So I was the color commentator my junior and senior year. And our moderator, I mean, he was laughing, but he just gives me this look. He's like, "What the heck are you doing? Where have you been?" And I was like, "Oh, I was getting a couple hot dogs. The lines were long." So on the it's called Edgy Tim, and that was his vlog, or that was his blog on the internet circuit, and it just blew up where I just became this cult legend because I needed to get my Gately Stadium hot dogs, and I was this 16-year-old kid who just blew up the small circuit of this internet because I was the color commentator, but my main priority was to go get a hot dog at halftime instead of going back and doing my job.
So, okay. I mean, there's 87 questions based off that. This is fascinating me. I never knew this. You came to Carmel as a boy. If you care to struggle and work at it, you will leave as a man.
That's
Did you
it.
know your high school slogan?
Yes.
You've heard that before.
I have. And actually, right after college, before I jumped into TV full time, I worked there for a year too. So I got to do, I got to work with the marketing team a little bit there and just do some creative video stuff. And yeah, actually now, and that was when the head coach who's there now too, Jordan Lynch, who was a Heisman Trophy finalist, who made it all the way. He was a Northern Illinois guy and was with Jameis Winston. We actually did something cool too for their athletics fundraiser. I was kind of co-hosting. It was pretty sweet too. They brought in this whole production crew because it was pretty much at the height of COVID. It was early 2021. And instead of this, they called it the Night of Champions. And it was super cool, super big production that they did. And it almost kind of felt like this 2-hour show where we brought in and we counted down the top 30 athletes in Mount Carmel history. And we had some that, we'd interview them in studio, we'd bring them in. It was fantastic. So talking to Jordan Lynch and getting to hear about his Heisman run and talking about that when he was in New York and just being around Jameis Winston, being around Johnny Manziel and all that was just crazy. And just getting to sit there and think, I'm talking to these guys. This is crazy. But it was super, super cool. And I'm super blessed that I'm still involved. I'm not on the alumni page though on Wikipedia, unfortunately.
You're
so
not.
Strouf,
You're not.
feel free, go about it. Leave it up to a surprise. However you want to put me on that Wikipedia page,
So here's
by all means.
Here's the issue I'm having, Pablo.
Yes.
Is I think you're notable, right? You're in TV. I
I
mentioned it
think
before.
you're notable.
I
Thank
think
you.
you're notable.
I think you're
But
notable.
When you are being compared to the likes of Chris Chelios and Donovan McNabb, I think you're less notable, much less notable. And I don't think you'll take offense, so I'm not even going to say no offense. I just don't know where you fit in here. Do you fit in? They have. This is the first high school on Wikipedia that I've ever seen multiple different sections for notable alumni: athletics, performing arts, public and military service. They have a notable staff section. Is that where you fit in? Because you said you worked there for a year.
It could be.
So I'm struggling to figure out what lane you're in, because you weren't an athlete, you were an athletic broadcaster, and you remain to be that. So that's the part I'm going to try to figure out here over the course of the next few minutes. But I don't, because mine, what did I say? Bishop of Venice in Florida? I don't even know what that means. So, ESPN radio in Wisconsin feels like it might be notable enough. But when you've got a dude that started a quarterback in a Super Bowl, I struggle with it a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, you figure out where the category is. I don't think I belong in the athletics one specifically. You got Simeon Rice too. You got to give him his flowers. And then
That's true. Simeon Rice, yeah.
Yeah, Simeon Rice is in there. There's one more. I think that we might have.
Antoine Walker.
Yes, Antoine Walker's in there too. I'm actually good friends with Nate Turner, Alec Thomas, who I'm trying to see in a few weeks over at in the Diamondbacks. If for those big baseball heads, he had a home run in the World Series last year. Actually, how I do it, I don't know him personally. When I worked there, that was his senior year. He's a great guy. I want to make sure I keep saying guy, not kid, because that's the thing. I've known him since he was 17, 18, and you always want to refer to him as a kid. But family and I are planning on going out to San Diego. They're playing the Diamondbacks. I just texted the head baseball coach, hey, you got some jerseys that we're just trying to be a nuisance and trying to flag him down. And I remember seeing him at a minor league game when he was playing for a single A team. It was actually a game that was moved, and so it was like me and two other people, one of them being my friend who I dragged along, but he's like, yeah, let's go see him. So we got $5 tickets, sitting down the first base line. I'm wearing my Mount Carmel stuff, and he looks up and he gives me the smile, and he comes over and gives me says, hey. It's pretty cold, so I'm like, hey, get into the clubhouse. Appreciate you coming to say hey, though. But no, he's a good kid, man, and it's really cool how tight everybody's bond is still, over there at that school.
I did not anticipate spending 10 minutes on Mount Carmel High School in the south side of Chicago. But, hey, it was worthwhile. Wikipedia, man. It brings you down the rabbit hole. So I see this news this morning of Ed Policy being named the new CEO and president. You're not a Wisconsin native, so I'm curious. Obviously, you do cover the Packers, given your day job. But being a non-Wisconsinite, is this news to you? Like, how do you view this because the other 31 teams, they don't really have presidents and CEOs. They have owners or governors or whatever title we're using. How do you view this news as kind of an outsider? Although you're not really an outsider, you were an outsider, now an insider. Is this big news? Is it huge news? How do you view this Ed Policy news from the Packers becoming the new president and CEO?
It's a good question. I mean, it's something that the Packers have been looking into for a long time. It's trying to figure out who's going to be the next guy. I mean, I think it's just, honestly, it's just based off of trust of what Mark Murphy and the board, views. I'm kind of being a little vague here. Still got to read up on him a little bit, to be honest. But one of those things is, it's going to be interesting just because of how Mark Murphy's tenure was. He had a solid one. He had a pretty good relationships that he built here. So now it's just kind of figuring out, how are they going to build those relationships? How are they going to make sure, frankly, how I make sure I don't say we, because, back up, how are the Packers going to make Jordan Love happy? Because I think that's just going to be the big thing, and it really stems down from how the up tops are going to respond to that. How are they going to make sure that they just keep building and make sure that, this is the place that he wants to stay at forever? So that's my mini take on this.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? You can only find so much background on him. I have a one-sheeter here, and I mentioned some of the cool parts. Been with the Packers since 2012. It's just all the business perspective, and that's usually what this role means. So there you go. I asked the question before, Pablo: Super Bowl ring or wedding ring for Jordan Love first? I'm not sure what the timeline of his wedding is, so that kind of makes it a difficult question. But if I was to say they get married 2 years from their engagement anniversary, so that gives them 2 NFL seasons. Is Jordan Love winning a wedding ring first or a Super Bowl ring first?
Wedding ring. And I'm not doing this to be petty. Maybe I am kind of doing this to be a little petty.
I think you might be. You are a Bears fan, yeah.
I like to ruffle the feathers, especially with you, man.
You're good at it. Yeah, you're good at it.
What can I say? No, I mean, I just think, you know what? It's the reason why I say wedding ring is because it's not that I doubt the abilities in the Packers. It's not that I doubt that this team is not Super Bowl ready. It's just more of, we get how much parity there is, more so of the powerful teams in this league. I think the Packers have good potential. I think they can do exactly what they did last season. Heck, they even brought the 49ers to the brink. And it's really just a coin toss from there. Do I feel like that they are the team to beat in the NFL within these next 2 seasons? You could make a case for it, but right now I'm going back and forth on it. I still think, and especially too, yes, I'm a Bears fan, but at the same point, we do need to look at the NFC North. We need to look at where the competition is going to be from there. I still think the Packers are obviously the strongest team in the NFC North at the moment. So I do and I don't want to say the NFC North is in the bag for the Packers. There you go. There's your cold open sound. I know you guys love to clip that for me.
Like it.
So there you go, Strouf. There you go. You're welcome. But anyway.
You like him over the Lions. That's all I need to hear.
Yes.
That's all I need to hear.
Yes. I do. The Lions are fun. The Lions are a fun team too. I just think the Packers still felt like, especially with the way how that season ended, they were the team to beat, clearly. They were the group that showed the most polish, that they showed that they were pretty strong. Again, got to give the Lions their flowers. I think they're going to be tough. The Bears are coming in. The Vikings are trying to do something as well. We'll see who really makes noise this season. But you look at let's look at from this big picture. Let's move away from the NFC North. The Niners are basically returning their entire team virtually.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
Depending on what happens with Brandon Ayuk, yeah.
Correct, yeah. So, and I mean, even think about that too. You get Ronnie Bell, who's a backup from there too. It's crazy what that roster looks like. So, I am just thinking from a big picture standpoint, who else they have to run through in the NFC. I'm not just thinking that this is a Bears fan saying the Packers are not going to win the Super Bowl. But you get what I'm saying. You get where I'm coming from.
I think it's very similar. Absolutely. I think it's very similar to a year ago, and obviously somebody will pop up that we don't expect to. But when you look at the NFC East, they had two teams that were in the postseason. Now, Philly had a complete fall from grace after a 10-1 start. And then Dallas, we saw what the Packers did to them in the wild card round as the 2 seed. San Francisco, you mentioned, they're still going to be in the conversation, if not at the top of the conversation, assuming most health. And, they're dogs, man. And San Francisco and then Kansas City, I mean, are still the 2 favorites in my mind every year until proven otherwise. And then we mentioned Detroit. So I think those are really the 5 teams right now in the NFC, San Francisco, Detroit, Philadelphia, Dallas, and Green Bay, that seemingly have a shot to win the NFC. Now, if San Francisco has anything to say about that, they will still probably be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl for at least one more year, would be my guess here on June 24th. But you play the games for a reason. It's any given Sunday, yada, yada, jargon, cliches, etc.
Coach talk left and right.
Coach talk, yeah, exactly. So we will see. I like the trajectory the Packers are on. In the next 2 years, can they play in a Super Bowl? Yes. Do I expect it this year? Maybe. Do I like their chances the year after, assuming we can see consistency has been my word of the offseason, Pablo, when it comes to talking about Jordan Love. I would like to see consistency through the course of the 17-game regular season, which we did not see much of a year ago. If you can establish consistency offensively, if you can have a better defense than you did a year ago, which is not the highest bar in the world, this is a team that should be a Super Bowl contender and not a pretender come December and January.
Yeah, exactly. That is the thing. You hit it right on the head. And I think, as we kind of keep talking about this too, the third year would feel like the best situation for them. You got 2 years under the belt as full-time as the quarterback for Jordan Love. Last year, it was inconsistent. It ended the way that people were hoping it would end, which was great. There was a lot of upside. There was a lot of positives to take from it. And now you get this second year. You don't want to run into the same slope. You don't want to run in. Again, there's going to be adversities, and we're getting into the coach talk as always. But it's true, though, because they will probably run into some bumps. Not everything's going to be, happy-go-lucky. Everybody's in a circle singing Kumbaya. They're all holding hands and smiling and everything. I mean, that's just the reality of it. That's an 18-week season. Heck, with the first week starting out internationally, how are they going to respond to that? Granted, it's only a 2-hour difference, but think about that travel. I mean, that's actually going to be interesting, just thinking about that. Maybe I don't want to go too big picture on it or look at this from a pretty big, you get what I'm saying. You get where I'm getting at. But thinking about what kind of tone, because again, it's not just a football game. It's against the Eagles. Yes, it's head-to-head, but it's also a chance for this team to prove themselves in a different way. How can they handle an adversity that they hardly ever have to deal with? I mean, what was it? They traveled to London 2 years ago, and that almost felt like a train wreck type of situation because of the lack of rest, because of they didn't travel well. And again, even though they're only dealing with a 2-hour difference, it is a pretty lengthy flight to go to Brazil. And thinking about that, I think it's a very unique week 1 test, not just because they're facing Philly, but because of what are the travel stipulations and all those types of things. And, how is this going to test this team in ways that they didn't expect to? So that's going to be very interesting if we're just talking about this. But going off of that, You want to see consistency. You want to see Jordan Love thrive. You don't want to see, for instance, the play that goes back into my head is the Atlanta not fumbled snap, but rather when he miscounted his snap and essentially fell on the center and caused an offsides.
Yeah, week 2, yeah.
So that was brutal. That was brutal, and it was very early in the season. I'll give him that, but you can't see that. And obviously Jordan Love is going to be a guy and is a guy who won't allow that to happen or will do everything in his power to make sure that does not happen. But you do, as you said, you want to see consistency. The defense played pretty well, but you want to see how they're going to respond in training camp, how they're going to gel well, and all those types of things. And I think going back to this big point as I answer this question in a long way or to go off of what you were saying, I could see this realistically happening. They might have a shot this upcoming season, but I could see it more being a legitimate possibility under the third year for Jordan Love as the quarterback that the Packers could very well be playing for a Super Bowl and could be a strong contender.
Does it bother you as a Chicago native and a Bears fan that the Packers continue to find success at this position? Because the way we're talking about Jordan Love is already year 2. A Super Bowl is legitimately in question, right? Like it's already a possibility year 2. There has never been a down period at the quarterback position in either of our lifetimes for the Green Bay Packers at the quarterback position. Like, that's infuriating if you're not a Packers fan, I would imagine, especially when the team you're a fan of is usually the recipient of ass kickings at the hands of Packers quarterbacks. Is this infuriating?
It's not fun, don't get me wrong, but it's more so. Let me just tell you this. I cannot find anything in terms of Jordan Love where I will be like, I don't like this guy. Take it for what you will. Bears fans are Bears fans too, and this is my fandom. I think that they will very much go out of their way and be like, Jordan Love this, Jordan Love that, where I'm like, I have to tip my cap off to the guy, whereas Aaron Rodgers, he got the job done, yes, in his regard. He was arrogant as all hell. I was in that press conference, the I Still Own You game. I was first row.
Oh, really?
I was first row in that press conference room. Fun fact, actually ended up being his final in-person press conference because then we found out he was just immunized. We know how that story played out. So he never talked to media in person for the rest of the season. But anyway, so you could just feel, I'm just like, I don't know if you could see me. I'm just like, man, I'm just thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
That smug type of arrogant statement of talking about how much he respects this rivalry because, quote, I have seen so many different quarterbacks come through this rivalry. You know me. I'm a professional guy. I try to keep it professional.
You try to be.
I try to be. Here we can have a little bit more fun, but I try to be. And man, when I had to hold everything back and be a professional in that press conference room when he was clearly giving a dig that there were excellent. We get it. I see all the memes. I see all these things. That, yes, the Bears have not had a 4,000-yard quarterback or a quarterback with 4,000 passing yards or whatever the hell the stat is. I get it.
4,000, yeah.
Yep, 4,000. My franchise sucks when it comes to developing quarterbacks. I'll just put it out that way. We got Jim McMahon, and we're riding 1985 like it was yesterday. Oh, well, it's unfortunate. But anyway, man, I got heated. But that was a tough situation watching that. Going back to the whole thing, though, I had to get my Aaron Rodgers thing out here. I respect the hell out of Jordan Love. I respect the hell out of what he does. He's a guy who is fun to watch. He's clearly learning. He's a guy who answers all the questions correctly. And the thing is that we always respect somebody who other people are going to revolve around too. And it's one of those things where Jordan Love will very much be a guy who is always going to be the one who starts the rally, but other guys truly believe in. Not saying that no one believed in Aaron Rodgers. It's more of just the way that you can see more how the young guys are gravitating towards Jordan Love and saying he is the guy. He's the guy we want to follow.
It was different.
Correct.
It was different with Rodgers.
Yes.
Because, I mean, obviously nobody wanted Favre to get pushed out. And Rodgers kind of, for the love's sake of things, started to push himself out, right? He was frustrated and he wasn't showing up to things. And then obviously the youth movement began where all these young guys and the draft picks Brian Gutekunst were making were the same age as Love. So it's a little bit different in terms of the public perception of it and the optics of it. But ultimately people rallied around Rodgers, especially when he won that Super Bowl in 2010. All right, Pablo, we're going to go full circle here as I wrap up with you.
Do it.
Elton Jenkins, Packers offensive lineman, over the weekend, got the football stadium at his high school named after him. Something neither of us will ever experience.
The Alex Strouf, Clintonville, right? No.
Denmark.
Denmark. Not the Truckers. Clintonville is the Truckers, though, right?
No, I was a Viking.
You were a Viking. My friend Ryan is a Clintonville Trucker. That's it. Okay. You know Ryan. But anyway.
Same conference. Same conference.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think either of you could get the press box?
I think so. That's I think that's a possibility.
I don't for me.
The Alex Strouf, I was about to say
the
memorial.
memorial press box, even though
Yeah, let's not kill Strouf.
Yeah, no, we don't have to get that deep. Yeah, I think I like the Strouf media press box. Let's see. I think we can.
I don't think that's happening. I don't think so.
The Alex Strouf media suite.
Ooh, the media
wow.
suite.
Yeah, now we're just building non-existent buildings in Denmark, Wisconsin. Very good. Very, very well done.
Well, no,
everybody.
it's just
like
it's the
it.
press box. You just call it a suite.
Not the
Make it
stadium.
classy.
It's not a suite.
The stadium's already named over at Mount Carmel, but there maybe I'll poke in and ask if the press box is named. Maybe.
We'll send some emails and we'll circle back next time we do this. Pablo Iglesias on Twitter at Pablo Iglesias TV. Pablo, thanks as always, buddy. We'll do it again soon.
All right. Thanks, man.
It's Pablo Iglesias from WKOW, which is where you can watch Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight, Hunter. Edmonton Oilers come back from down 3-0 against the Florida Panthers. It's all in the balance tonight. Panthers, Oilers in Florida, 7 p.m. on WKOW in Madison, on ABC, affiliates nationwide, as well as ESPN Plus. I know nothing about hockey. I have not watched a single game. I know Connor McDavid is very good, and he plays for the Oilers, which, by the way, I don't know if I've told this story yet on the show. Back in 2018, I was still in college. I was doing a weekly college radio show called Sports Beat with my friends Jake Senholz, who's now in local media up in the Wausau market, working for one of the television stations up there, and then my friend Malik Jackson, who's out in D.C. Both of them very big hockey fans. Jake's a big Penguins fan. Malik was a big Capitals fan, still is a big Capitals fan shortly after they won their title. Maybe that was the year they won their title. And they wanted to talk more hockey on the show. But the issue is, A, I don't watch hockey, and B, I didn't have a favorite team. So we spun a wheel. We got a wheel with 30 sections on it at the time. I think it was 30 or 29, however many teams there were at that point. It was right after the Knights had been introduced. And I spun the wheel, and it landed on the Edmonton Oilers. So I am technically an Edmonton Oilers fan. I am in the Oilers camp tonight. If they win the Stanley Cup tonight, I will be annoying as hell. I will say I was with them from the dark days. I've been a fan since day one. I will lie to all of you about my Oilers fandom when they make the ultimate comeback tonight. Hunter, outside of Connor McDavid, is there anything I need to know, or can I just watch this blind? Because it's Game 7. Do you really need context for a Game 7?
No, especially the Stanley Cup. Like, it's you win the championship. I do have some historical context, though, for this, because I think that's where this is really the most interesting.
Okay, hit me.
So this Game 7 will be the 18th time that there's been a Game 7 since 1942 in the Stanley Cup Finals. There was a stretch with 01, 03, 04, 06 of having Game 7s in the Stanley Cup Final. This will be only the third time in NHL history that a team has come back from a 3-0 deficit to force a Game 7. The first time it happened was 1942. The Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup after falling down 3-0. Then in 1945, it did happen again, but that time the Detroit Red Wings forced a Game 7, and then they lost in Game 7 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's the historic level of a team doing this. The fact
So
that
it
this
hasn't happened in 80 years.
correct. So this is it's ridiculous that it even got to this point, because the first 3 games Florida was dominating. I mean, it looked like they were going to easily sweep Edmonton. Connor McDavid, who normally is the best player on the planet, was looking like just an average hockey player. And all of a sudden, he turned something on, and these last 3 games, he has been incredible. So that's why this is just going to be so fun to watch, and especially considering for Florida, they've been awesome on defense all year long. I looked it up. They were number 1 in the NHL in goals against all season long at 2.4 goals per game that they gave up. They're giving up I think it was 4, 5, and 6 goals in these last 3 games. Something has fallen apart for them defensively. They do get this game at home, but Florida's not a great atmosphere. So if they get down early, Edmonton could all of a sudden just blow the doors off. So right now, Florida is a 1.5-goal favorite in this one, but it's really only because they're at home. But I'm so pumped for this game.
This is good to know. I will be watching. I don't know how much we'll unpack on Wednesday's show, but I will be watching. This is incredible. And Game 7, best 2 words in sports, especially when it's for all the marbles like it is tonight for Lord Stanley. So something to watch. 7 p.m. on ABC locally, Central Time, and ESPN Plus. All right, let's dive into the Brewers. They dropped 3 of the 4 over the weekend at San Diego. They win last night, or yesterday afternoon, really, to get a win in San Diego and Southern California. But they return home now, play the struggling Rangers before a day off Thursday in a weekend series with the Chicago Cubs. The trade deadline, what are we at? About a month and a half away, if that, about 6 weeks away.
Yeah, July 30th.
July 30th. Okay, it is before that first week of August this year. They could certainly use some pitchers, as good as Tobias Myers has been here in his rookie season. He's had 3 really solid starts in a row, including yesterday has Tobias Myers, but the injuries just keep piling up, especially when it comes to that starting rotation. I mentioned the stat last week. It remains the same. 12 starting pitchers for the Brewers this year. That's a lot. I mean, there was no information on that in terms of MLB statistics league-wide on what the most starts for a team, different starters for a team has been, but I would be hard-pressed to find a team with more than 12, only about 75, 80 games into the season, as that's what the Brewers have trotted out. But they're still a first-place team. They are still a team in really nice position, both within the division and within the National League. As of last week, I don't know if that's still the case after the rough weekend, but they had the 6th or 7th best record in all of Major League Baseball. This is a team that is finding scrappy, different ways to win, despite the injuries that keep piling up. So as we approach the deadline, what do the Brewers need? An arm would be my answer, but a bat wouldn't hurt either. You need some consistency out of your outfield. Now, you've seen moments the last couple of weeks with a rotation of those outfielders, including my boy Salvatore, who had a nice week last week. Can he keep it up? But Hunter loves to troll me each and every episode of Mr. Irrelevant by pitching the idea of trading away Sal Frelick, which, of course, is a realistic possibility with the return of Garrett Mitchell impending. So, yes, I don't want to see it happen, but could it? Of course. Hunter, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's, again, we talked about this last time. I just think the depth that the Brewers have at outfield, it makes sense to get rid of somebody out there. Sal's stock is probably about as high as it's going to get, unless he goes on an insane hitting streak here. But then you're like, well, we'll get rid of somebody else to keep him hot because he's driving the offense. The fact that they've got Freddie Peralta, can go 6 innings almost every time he pitches. Tobias Myers maybe will go 6. He did it the last time he was out there, but otherwise they don't have anybody that can go deep into a game. And this bullpen's already getting worn down. I mean, they had the game on Fox on Saturday, and they talked about it. You can't sustain having to pull in pitchers in the 4th and 5th inning. It just doesn't work for you, especially if you want to try and make a run late in the season and deep into the playoffs, because you start getting into a 7-game series and you're games 5, game 6 in the series. You need starters to go deep in a game. You have to have that. You need a fresh bullpen who can just go out there and throw gas for an inning and then get out of there and go to somebody else. You can't keep asking your bullpen to go 4 or 5 guys deep every single game. And unfortunately, right now, that's what the Brewers are doing. And I wish that they could get another bat, have a little bit more consistency throughout that order for the offense, but they need pitching. And it sucks because this team, if their pitching staff is healthy, I think they run away with the NL Central with the way they're playing right now. But they need to figure out their starting pitching rotation. They need somebody else to come in and help Freddie Peralta because he cannot carry this team yet. He's great, but he's not at the level where he can be that number one ace, and you can throw him out there and just be like, okay, we're fine. Everything's great. You expect it most of the time, but you can't confidently say, okay, we got this one. We know we're going 6, even close to 7 innings, and then we'll be fine. We can get 2 innings out of our bullpen. They just can't sustain this right now. And it sucks because I'd like to see Sal stay, but unfortunately I think he might be going down to Chicago. I really think that the White Sox might be the team. They're so bad, Strouf, that they're probably going to just do a reset again. They're such a garbage team that it makes sense for them to just do another reset and dump off guys that they have. So you give them a young player like Sal, give them a couple of other top prospects, go get yourself a starting pitcher and see what you can do in the playoffs.
I'm done talking about this.
I'm sorry.
I'm done. I'm done talking about it. Let's wrap up the show, as we always do. What we learned. You learn something new every day. I learned something new today. It's a fun one, too. Our guy, John Anderson, who you hear weekdays, or not weekdays, but Tuesdays, every Tuesday with Homer on the Homer Hour. You've watched him for 25-plus years on SportsCenter. Friday will be his final edition of SportsCenter and his final day with ESPN as he wraps up a 25-plus year career with ESPN. It was announced today by KOMU News, in Missouri, that Anderson will join the School of Journalism at the University of Missouri, his alma mater, and will be teaching journalism classes in Missouri, but also wraps up a historic run at SportsCenter. This Friday will be the final edition of his show, and you can catch him continuing to do the Homer Hour each and every Tuesday. I've had the opportunity to fill in a few times with John, who is just, he's witty, he's smart, he's got great insight, great historical perspective. He's a Green Bay native, but Missouri alum, went to Green Bay Southwest High School, not far from where I grew up. So awesome for John as he wraps up a historic run at ESPN and SportsCenter, and we'll head to the faculty of the University of Missouri coming up next. So fantastic news there. Congrats to John on the next step in his career. All right, that will do it for us. Hunter, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, we switched this to what we learned in the last 2 times. You've not given me a chance to say what I've learned. So I feel like I need to go back to what Strouf learned. I was just going to say that I learned that The Bike Riders is an incredible movie. I went and saw that on Saturday, and I highly recommend it for anyone.
I've never even heard of this.
It's incredible. It's out right now. Tom Hardy's in it.
Isn't he? Is he like a fashion guy?
No. The guy that played Bane.
Oh, okay. You know who I'm thinking of is Ed Hardy.
Yeah. No, Tom Hardy is awesome in it. It's a great movie. It's about a motorcycle gang. It's so good. Strouf, you should take the lady friend to go see it. There's even romance in it. It's great.
I'm just telling you right now, I'm not doing that. But I appreciate the
I'm
offer.
honestly, I'm telling you, it is genuinely a great movie. It will probably get nominated for Best Picture. It's that good of a movie.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, go see this movie.
So we've got the Hunter Vaughn nomination for Best Movie. Breaking news. Somebody pick it up, man. I don't know. I've never even heard of this movie.
Yeah, I don't know why they're not doing more marketing on TV. I've seen it on TikTok, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything on Saturday, so I went and saw it. Okay, I was the youngest person in the theater by about 25 years, but it was an incredible movie.
Your wife is on a 1.5 week long work trip.
Yes.
How are you doing? How many movies have you watched?
I have watched 2 movies. I went to the theater once. I watched Oppenheimer on Friday night, and then I went and saw The Bike Riders. I might go see another movie in the theater. There's The Quiet Place that's coming out, or is out now, so I might go do that. I don't know. We'll see. I'm a free man. I can do whatever I want for the next, 8 days.
I'm worried about you, but we'll continue to check in on you throughout the week because this is what I learned is I saw a movie, Strouf. Hey, you did, Hunter.
I learned that it is a great movie, okay? Don't just say I saw a movie. It was an incredible movie, and I'm trying to tell you to go see it because I think it's that good.
I learned that the movie theater airs movies that may be okay.
Why are you being such a dick right now?
We're back with you Wednesday, beginning at 12:30 on the ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison YouTube channels, as well as the Facebook page, available wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Wisconsin On Demand. Just search Mr. Relevant. Be the first one you see. Big thanks to Pablo Iglesias for joining us, Josh DiMaggio, Tiny Ants, Hunter Vaughn. I'm Alex Strouf. We'll talk to you Wednesday. Peace.